it looks like I'll have to put out a part 5 revision number 5. Something like that. I've done like something like 9 of these videos in the last week or half a week while I invented this knot or found it or whatever, even though it's probably been invented with all the knot experts out there. So then, in my opinion, this is like the best knot, although it still slips a little bit. It all depends on how you tighten it. This is because it becomes simpler and simpler and simpler. It's like approaching the number 0. I've babbled about that on this or that video, efficiency and approaching the number 0. Turns out we're just as far from 0 as we are from infinity. Therefore, it's as ridiculous as talking about approaching infinity. Sure, you can say, I measured this with a ruler and it's exactly 0. Well, guess what? Your ruler's not perfect. Your eyesight's not perfect. How you use the ruler is not perfect. Everything's bending. All that stuff. No one ever gets to 0. No line is completely straight or efficient. It goes on and on. There's an old story about a guy who was in school, and they said, class, we're going to develop this straight line. And so everyone tried to draw their straightest line, and this one guy says, no, wait, it's not quite straight. And he keeps working on it forever. And she goes, oh, no, I can't go home. Eventually he becomes obsessed with it. Everyone's throwing eggs at him and stuff over the years. It's the straight line guy or girl. And he doesn't care anymore. He doesn't care about money. Somehow there's enough money. He doesn't care about women. Somehow women like him, even though he has no interest in except drawing a straight line. And yeah, perhaps that's why, by the way, money popped up and women popped up. He had no interest in it and didn't try. And then therefore his exuberance of the straight line project made him get money and women. I just threw that in there, showing how things happen by accident so well, how and why, to some degree. The point is, he kept trying to draw a straight line. He couldn't do it, because he knew it wasn't quite straight. Year after year, he was in college, everyone just threw eggs at his back of his head and said, what, that freaking idiot, that moron! And he kept trying to draw a straight line. Eventually, he ended up just sitting in a park like this. Who's that? Oh, that's the crazy guy. Now he's like 40, 50, whatever. He's 30, 40, 50 years old, 60, 70. He's getting old. He's in the park. All he cares about is drawing a straight line. He's just looking at this piece of paper. Finally, one day, he figured he stumbles on what he was doing wrong here and here and again. Lines getting straighter and straighter and straighter. And finally, he stumbles on the interconnectedness of the entire universe and the nature of the straight line, meaning efficiency. And he figures out the straight line and how to draw it. And then drawing it took like no time or effort at anything. He ran back to his school. The teacher's now an old lady too. And he's like, he baffles into the classroom like, I got the straight line. And everyone's laughing. All the kids are laughing and everything. And the teacher knows him and knows his entire life story. And she's been feeling like, I'm making this up. I'm just saying this as I go along. She's been feeling guilty her whole life about it. And she's like, class, everyone get back. This guy's been working a straight line for 70 years straight. Let him do his straight line. So everyone's laughing. The guy takes out the piece of chalk on the chalkboard. He goes, with apparently no effort, he just has this blank look on his face. And he just gets back to whatever he figured out, whatever he saw about the whole universe and how it all works together and how to be a completely efficient straight line. Him and the whole universe together, or her. And he goes, whoosh, he just flops his hands down the chalkboard with no effort. And it's funny, I suppose. People are still laughing at how easily he just went, whoosh, like he'd been working on it his whole life. And he goes like, with his hand. It looks like nothing. And what looks like a totally straight line appears on the chalkboard. And then there's a moment of silence, and all of a sudden, the chalkboard breaks in half. The wall behind it breaks in half. The whole wall breaks in half, like the entire wooden wall and everything breaks in half. And all of a sudden, no one's laughing anymore because they're scared out of their mind. The straight line story. This movie is about knots. I was thinking, movie? Video. Well, it is a kind of a short little tiny movie. Funny, did I just say straight knots? It's not a straight line, it's a fllak. The name has changed. Flowing, based on how you tie the knot. Never a complete loop, always these almost loops, like this thing is almost a loop. This first one's pretty much a loop because you go across it like this. But yet, it's not going straight up. It's like that. It's a partial loop, and there's about 5 more, 3, 4, 5 more partial loops, depending on which type of knot you choose. Started out with a flUp knot, which is a flowing loop knot, Again, not a complete loop, just that was his description. Now it's fllak, F-A-A-L, flowing, adjusting. What are the two L's? One was locking if need be. Oh, what was one of those L's? Damn, because I've been babbling for like 5 minutes straight, I forget. One of them's locking if need be. One of them is, yeah, that sucks. It'll say in the title description, because there'll be description after the fllak word. And then at K for not. The other L, what was it? Damn you. Falling. Locking. Flowing, adjusting. Locking, if need be, or whatever. That's so annoying. There's a lesson in there somewhere. Here's the first knot, what used to be called a SlUp knot. Take a loop, counterclockwise or clockwise, same thing. I said that in video once, so need not babble about it. Go around like this. Either direction is both clockwise and counterclockwise, depending on how you look at it, or neither, and you can just say it's either one. But same direction for this entire knot, whether it's the what did I just call the other one? SlUp knot, or the fllak knot. They're the same. Just if you decide to put a locking mechanism in it, then it's fllak knot. In whatever said direction, I call it clockwise. I'm picturing looking down for some dumb reason. First partial loop is passed underneath this thing. Second one, diagonally upward. Let's see if this is still in the camera area. Diagonally upward underneath this thing. Diagonally upward. Second loop passes behind both. Third loop, I'm saying loop, but it's just a figure of speech, is caddy corner. Never mind if it's the left or the right, because that depends if you're going what you call clockwise or counterclockwise. My hands are in the way and the shadow and everything. It's a freaking horrible video. Caddy corner, in this case, since we went around this way and we're on this side, caddy corner to this hole. Once you have this thing, this is a SlUp knot. Similarly to the fllak knot, when you pull this whole thing tight, you'd had already before, or if it's a pole with an open top, after, whenever you choose, you have this around the pole or whatever the heck you're putting it on, a car, or you're trying to pull, whatever. You tighten it, this thing slides and adjusts and everything, just like the other knot, just like the fllak knot. Although this thing can become easily unadjusted, especially in the way that matters. Let's say this is on a tent and it pulls on this. This looks like it's tightening, but then all of a sudden there's too much slack out here. And now the tent's not being held, the tarp, whatever, is not being held in place. Anyway, if you put this thing around a pole though, and you tighten this knot, and then you pull the knot snug around the pole, like this, and tighten it again, whatever, and it's right there. This thing is really good for tightening right flush to a pole. You can adjust the length before you make the knot, so it's only sticking out like this much. Then, this knot next to the pole, this is on a pole, whether it be sideways or upside down, sorry. The knot can slide the thing along the pole wherever you want to put it. In fact, if you put it on a vertical pole, you can slide it up to make the rope taut if it's tight, it's blocked on the other side somewhere, or the regular pole. But when you take the rope and pull it like this, it doesn't move. So it's weird. It's sort of an adjustable lock knot in its own right, only you can't adjust the length. Now for the fllak part. That took about 5 tries. This is about the 5th revision. I'll say it's a part 2. I'll just add this as a part 2 to that other video, which I mentioned on the book length description of that video. I said, wait, I'll screw it, I'll flop out another video, because I kept changing it. Every time I do it, every time I take a break, that's when, of course, when it dawns on me there's another easier, simpler loop. Let's untie this a little bit, because this knot, the fllak knot, starts out the same way as the SlUp knot does. I left out the word loop on the fllak knot because luckily it never was a complete loop anyway. That was just a figure of speech. And I was saying that. It is a flow though. You flow into the knot and it flows like this and that. Let's see, how do you tie this stupid knot? I was thinking about calling this a stupid ass part 2. Maybe I will on the description for the first one. Yay! Underneath one time, diagonally up underneath both of them this time. This is in case someone just watches this so-called part 2, which is really about 5 tries to make this knot, and then 5 tries to make the locking part, since this knot, as I just said, slides to become loose. So now you're here. You're about to pass this through, but now everything has changed, damn you. Push this thing through. Let's see if I can remember how to do that. It's 1 step to go. Somehow we put this through that. I don't remember how. Probably was this. It was this. I remember what it looks like. Simplest looking knot in the world, just like the straight line. And by the way, I don't know how to, I can't draw a straight line. It was just a hypothetical proposition of it. How far we are from a straight line or from the number 0, and how powerful that number 0 can be. And how it can be, interestingly, a lifelong thingamajig. So this rope is almost used up from all these different tries I did to invent this knot. It looks, here's the other loop around whatever. This is the locking part. It's taking the main line, which slides almost whatever knot you tie. You try to tie everything tight, and then this knot still slides back and forth. This is pushing or sucking, not sucking, but it's pushing this thing up like this. I screwed up just tying this knot. Let me pass this through a little bit. A little more slack on my jack. Good, barely enough. That simple is the greatest, most amazing, and yet humble, but yet the greatest knot there ever was. Now you have 2 ropes here to tightening it. Tightening it is all what this is about. It's extremely simple, but whether this thing will slide that my 2 thumbs are on or not once it's tightened, meaning it will not be able to be lockable. Of course, you slide it to adjust it and to take away the slack and everything else, get it your right length and all that. But once then you want to lock it, if this will lock or not depends how you tighten this thing, which is what we're about to do. You see the knot, it's simple as heck. It's like the number 0, it's super simple. 2 of these ropes, obviously what I have both my thumbs on, if my hands aren't in the way of video like all knot videos many knot videos seem to be. This knot is the mainline rope, which is really the whole entire rope, but the most direct connection is to the mainline rope. You can tighten it to get it down like this. These 2 things are for this thing. It tightens this loop, this loop, this loop, and this loop. And this thing you have a loop and a line and a loop. Here you have about 3 or 4 loops, whatever. It's like 5 things total. You tighten this. And then when this becomes loose, as you see this thing is coming somewhat loose, you tighten this. Usually the rope's not that thin. This rope is quite used up. But yet, mission accomplished. Great rope from Walmart, man. Like $4, 5/16 inch, really strong, 175 pounds. If you know how many knots I tied on this, how much stuff I did with this, you'd be amazed. It's just in one piece, and it lasted for the whole thing in the video. All right, enough babble. Of course, it's better to be bragging about the rope at Walmart than this $3.72 rope with 175 pound whatchamacallit at Walmart than me thinking I have the great knot or a straight line or whatever the heck I was talking about. These two are this thing, these 2 are this. You can pull on this, it becomes a little cattywampus. Then you can pull on these 2 to bring this thing down. Or you can just pull on all 4, but either way, or you can push on the knots or whatever. But how you tighten this thing, one by one, what I mean is one this thing or one this thing. Back and forth. Each time you tighten one, you can tighten the other one more. And when you finally get this half done, you can see by these 2 loops are part of this thing. Sometimes it gets screwed up, like this loop has become too much slack. Like I said, how you tighten it. Is any of this on the video? I'm trying to look at the camera and this at the same time. It would be funny if the entire video was like just a blank piece of square and I'd be yip-yapping about the knot. That wouldn't surprise me. I've seen stuff like that on YouTube quite too often. The point is how you tie this, how well you tie this is everything. Of course, you want to tighten the tension, whatever, everything before you tie it. But whether this lock will work, the extremely simple looking lock will work, is all in how well you tighten it. And how well can it be tightened? Well, I'm back to the straight line, the number 0 efficiency and straight line story. It turns out, just like inventing a knot, which has become, after like total of 10 tries, has become simpler and simpler and simpler. It looks like a first grader could just make this knot up by accident, and they could. In fact, I made it by accident. this truth kept popping up when I stopped trying and all that, and wasn't a good state of mind, enjoying this, all that. But when you get this knot right, I've already done it in the past, whether it works right now or not is kind of irrelevant. When you're in the right state of mind and you tighten this thing in the right way, it becomes so tight that this thing, which it does flow right now, so I'm sorry, but you'll see when you do it yourself, when you tighten it in the right way, not like I just did, it totally interlocks. And see, these two are part of themselves in a way. These two, this doesn't really tighten anything. I know one thing is this rope is so thin right here. Part of the effect was to have a rope, or this thing is a loop, a rope's thickness inside the rope, like I did, pass it through, to stop this thing from going down all the way. The bend, the pushing of these two things pushes the bend of this rope like this, which makes it very not wanting, so to speak, to pull through straight through. The rope going through here is to make it this not go sink through this thing, so that the bend becomes useless, which is what's happened here. In this case, this rope is so thin from all the use that it's passed through. That's why right this second it doesn't work, but it works. I tried it like 3 or 4 times before I made this video. I should have pretended it works so I can look like I think I'm all smart and all that stuff. Once you get it tight, this won't, like, with all your might, you can pull this thing in at the right exact angle and you can get it to move maybe, but when you pull on the actual rope from here or from here, like things will do, like wind or a tarp or whatever will do, they won't be pulling on the knot, only you'll pull on the knot. Just like that thing with the other knot, the fllak knot on the pole, you can move by the knot, but you can't move by this. Same thing with this. Once you tighten this, not like I just screwed up, but when you tighten it right, these things won't move it at all. Maybe you can move it from the knot, maybe, like that. But it's locked from all practical purposes. Sorry, this video makes it look like... It's funny, sometimes you watch videos where it looks like it does work, and then you try it and it doesn't. This is the inverse. It works, I just did it. Don't trust me, just try it and do it right, and you'll see it works. I should do it again right now, but then this video... Oh my gosh, this video is already too long. Crap.